Rain here is oh, by the way, this is spirituality talk. I'm the Frankincense guy, and we are talking about all things spirituality and things beyond. So, the topics can get huge, and there's no room for any BS. Just listen and learn. Get some seeds planted in your head. That's all I'd
Amen.
like to say before I start. So, Rain is a Reiki Master and a quantum healer, which
Right.
is really cool. Um, I do know a little bit about Reiki. Um, I know that it's the regulation of the life force energy, Qi. Uh, what is Reiki to you, being a Reiki Master?
Well, I think it starts as like I've always been more sensitive, a sensitive person, I guess you should say. And growing up, I knew that I was different or I felt things differently because I reacted to my environment differently. So I feel like it just kind of flowed in my life that, okay, she feels things, affected by her environment. So my next thing was getting into crystals. And when I started programming crystals, I didn't realize that that essentially was Reiki, putting my energy into an
Crystal.
intention.
Oh, wait,
Hmm.
hold up. Let me get my crystal. Now that you mention it, let me show you this. I got this. Somebody really freaked out when they saw this crystal. Do you know anything about it? They said it was like a
It's
lightning crystal,
what
'cause it has like, or a thunder crystal because it has like this crack in the middle.
it's a fire and ice. I have one of those too.
Really? I forget where I
Yeah,
got it, but someone saw it and they were like really impressed with it. I've had it for a while and I keep it around and it's got a lot of
beautiful.
energy for sure.
Yeah, it does have a lot of energy on it.
Facts, because also I make like music with it, keep it around. Um,
Oh, yeah.
check out this frankincense tier that I'm gonna burn. So this is kind of for like our session here, chilling. This is
I
like
love it.
Boswellia sacra. Cool little tier. I actually got a couple burning here too, so kind of just getting the vibe going. This,
Right, right.
that
I know
Chien.
I've got Hertz frequencies going right now too. I don't know if you can hear them.
Oh, really? What hurts?
963
963. So, oh, like a
or
369.
936.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
I
cool.
love 369 wave.
Wow. So a 369 wave. So I thought those were like binary waves that you have to have one in ear, or you're just playing one single hertz frequency
Just
at
one single Hertz frequency
okay.
right now. Yeah.
Okay, so
But
you're
I
just
do
riding
the binaural.
is it a sine wave that you got going? Do you know that with like how the frequency is playing right now? Like when you play one of those frequencies, or is it like on YouTube or something? Like one of those.
This one's on the Alexa that I
Oh,
have
okay.
like
Oh,
programmed.
wow. So
Yeah.
you could just have them playing like that. Wow.
But I do on YouTube as well. Yeah, I keep it going like 24/7. So my little
Wow.
studio area just kind of stays zen like.
So,
It
because I
feels like still waters, just
still
barely
waters.
rippling.
Wow. You
Yeah.
mean that certain frequency? Because I know you said 963 you're at?
963 or 936,
Or nine. Okay. Yeah, right.
whichever one it is.
Right. But around
I get my numbers
900,
confused.
around
Yeah.
900, that's like mid bass.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like bass, maybe it'll end around like 500. And then it'll start to get higher in frequency. So when you get to maybe like nine, it's a little bit higher above the bass frequency. And if you got to think 20 hertz is like the lowest bass we can hear. Anything below
Hmm.
it's, subsonic. We don't hear it, but we can feel it. So 20 hertz is really low bass. And then we can hear up to 20,000 hertz. So think like 20 hertz is something to sound like do, and then the higher you go up the scale, it'll go do, and then around
Right.
20K, that's the high frequency. So then we got 900 from like 20 to 20K here, it'll be somewhere around like here, like, kind of like that. That's just kind of the way,
Yeah.
it's like an audio engineer, how I learned how frequencies are related to basically our hearing spectrum. And it kind of goes along to the same spectrum of light and how it's connected to sound, which is pretty amazing. And
And
how
color.
I was just going to say that because that
Hmm.
that vibe right there from that low to high is basically in a color from red to indigo, so it
Yes.
goes up the scale, just like that low frequency is the earth, the red, the low chakra, and then the higher you go up, uh,
Yeah, the higher chakras.
exactly. So,
Um, so when you listen to music, you see colors as well,
oh my God, yeah, yeah,
right? It's a whole
synesthetic, yeah. Oh
experience.
my
It's
God, like when I make
trippy.
songs, I know songs are like some of them have like a blend of certain colors too. Like there'll be like two
Hmm.
colors maybe for a song or something. But yeah, I love making like green and black songs. That's like my
I
favorite.
need to hear the Green and Black songs.
I'll send you one of them. I made one like recently, a couple of them. Those are my favorite. They have like almost like sometimes they have like a harpish vibe to it, like a dark harpish. I don't know.
Like
This is weird.
gothic tone.
Yeah, like
I'm picking up like this gothic, like
yeah, definitely stringy.
what do they call
Um,
that? Accordion? No,
yeah,
not
oh yeah,
accordions.
that's it. It's like that.
The
Like I don't know. It's
yeah.
just kind of like weird. All right, but anyways, let's get back to the being a Reiki master and like basically how did you become a Reiki master?
In cosmetology school, like that's kind of when my spiritual awakening and awareness began. So I met a whole bunch of people who were kind of healing the same things. And one of the girls she's like, I'm taking Reiki. I just feel called to take Reiki. You should take it with me. And so I took it with her and I did one and I didn't do anything with it for several years. Like I was just like, okay, like it's pretty much me programming my crystals. That's all I'm going to do with it until I broke my neck in a car accident.
Oh Lord.
And that's when I was like, I just had a baby. Literally 2 weeks to the day, I got into a car accident and I didn't want to take medication because I didn't want to be asleep, especially with a newborn baby that needs to be waking up. So I was like, I want to try holistic healing. And so I went through this phase of aromatherapies and healing herbs,
And so that happened
CBD.
after the accident is kind of like what brought you into that. There's always some kind of like there's either like a tragedy or basically like something that brings people into this a spiritual path. There's like a quote, I think it's Rumi that says from the wound is where the light enters. So
Mhm.
a lot of people definitely that's like a reoccurring theme uh that people share, especially with me. And I feel like that's consistent because that's like evolution, so that's where
I've noticed that too with everybody that I know that's on a spiritual path. They've had some sort of traumatic, catastrophic, almost
yeah.
or
And
near death experience.
it's not to, put any doubt on people who got it all good. I don't think anybody would be, have it all good, but maybe some people have it more fortunate, and that doesn't mean that they can't experience, their own type of spirituality better than someone that, has gone through a lot. Maybe that's kind of just like how there is two different sides to enlightenment. In different schools of Zen Buddhism, one was the vigorous, long practice, long meditation, long exercise, strict discipline to achieve this enlightenment. And then the other school of thought that branched away from that was that it's instantaneous because it's already there. We just have to kind of turn it on like a light switch and it can just kind of happen over like night or something like, or some kind of event or something can just spark it up in you. So there's either sides to that really.
That is really profound. And it is something that I've noticed with 95% of the people that I've interacted with, that they've had some sort of catastrophe, which led to mine wasn't instantaneously, though. It was like I was kind of just forced because I had a broken neck. It was COVID to kind of just sit with me. And that was really scary to sit with me
Wait, so that was
because,
around COVID, you're saying this happened?
mhm,
Wow.
yeah,
That's like another thing too I'm seeing with some people. Like around COVID was like, is that something that you agree with that you've seen like a lot of people start kind of more like of a spirituality growth in people? Did you
I
see that?
think it's soul braids or certain soul clusters, whatever vocabulary. I think all of us that awakened on that time were
Wow.
set to awaken on that time to ground in this energy.
Okay. Yeah, that because that's a whole nother topic too, right there. Like I feel like that's uh kind of like a shift though, especially with the information age, and all that fact checking that started coming out. And then, the conspiracies to where there is a lot of people sharing, their opinions, and that's cool to see. Before
It
there
is.
wasn't that much, people wouldn't, I don't know.
They're overcoming shame. Well, we all are because
That
eh,
big facts.
yeah, the shame and the judgment, and that I think it's a lot to do with that soul witch's wound that a lot of us mystics and people that have been doing this for
So that's what
lifetime
you
after
call
lifetime
a
have.
witch's wound?
That's what I've always, the terminology that I've always used, but it's basically a lot of us in past lives, like we remember being crucified, burned,
Oh,
ridiculed, locked away,
really? That's a
whatever.
thing?
Yeah.
Like there's like memories people have of stuff of being burned. I was watching something today. I watch a lot on history. I was just watching a lot with the Crusades. Um, Back in medieval times, man, the Catholic Church was
Savage,
ruthless.
savage, savage.
Man, the type of torture devices, and that's just if they thought you had enough heresy to get people away from the church just by doing your own type of spiritual work or something. That's scary as
And
shit.
we think it's bad now. I
Yo,
mean,
there's
and a lot of
people.
people don't realize like how savage. I mean, you would get beheaded and like pulled apart literally,
Well,
like
there's also
just for
like black
being.
magic too, though, right? Because there's like there's good and bad magic when it comes to being a witch or whatever, right? Or like a wizard,
Absolutely.
or just a light worker is kind of basically what that would be in modern terms, kind of someone that can work with, the light or the dark. But this ain't really Star Wars, and I don't think people are really like, super evil with like magic, but I could be wrong. There could be just like evil priests just sitting there trying to conjure up scrolls and spells and shit. But I feel like in this time, people are so desensitized that like where is the magic anyways? Like I don't really even
There
know.
is none. I mean, not for most people,
It's
because
very
they're stuck in that cycle of karma
and
that they can't see beyond their own like shadow. They're
and
just
what
stuck in the loop.
and what you mentioned in what you started earlier in the conversation, and it's something with me too, and it's like some people are very sensitive. Now, what like how I just said, it's like a desensitivity for some people where like the magic ain't there. You chant mantras for whatever is thousands, and it's not like they said in, the earlier golden ages, a couple of chants of this mantra vibrates your whole, chakras. Now, we say it and we don't feel nothing, so it's like uh certain people maybe still can feel a little bit of it. Like people like who can work like the light workers, spiritual, or someone like you who actually can work with the key, uh, which is something I practice as well in Shaolin martial arts, which I've been practicing for a good almost like 20 years, off and on, since very young, practicing martial arts in my family and learning Zen Buddhism through that, which basically kind of brought me into spirituality a little bit to start. And that's a big thing. If you are you familiar with Shaolin monks, like Shaolin Kung Fu, the monks in
I've seen your videos that you've done.
okay, yeah.
It's kind of like Qigong, but it's
There
way
you
like
go.
more
It's a-
advanced than
yeah.
Qigong.
So Qigong is basically that, like, except Qigong is more or less the internal styles of the Qi. Shaolin combat would be more of like the external styles. So, but Qigong and all that, literally the Gong in Qi is the same Gong that they say Kung Fu. So, and then you're just saying
Yeah,
like, yeah, and then it's Qi, so it's Qigong, like, the Kung Fu with
I
Qi.
practice Qigong. I love
Yeah, that's
Qigong.
it right there.
It really gets everything flowing. The total field just
Yeah.
goes.
And there's also animal spirits that you can tap into and poses and energy when you move.
That's so crazy
Yeah.
that you said that because I just experienced that the other day with hawk energy.
Hawk energy?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was freaking crazy.
What is hawk
And it
energy?
just happened for the first, I don't know, like it felt, I can tell you what it felt like. Okay, so I'm sitting there in meditation, and I don't know if everybody gets this way, but I've heard some people do when they start astral projecting. You kind of feel your energy spiraling up and out. So I'm spiraling up and out of myself, right? Into a higher perspective. Next thing I know, I have wings and I'm perched and I'm literally looking down on all
Mm,
aspects of my life like a grid. And I can see like where I have blockages at, like currently, right?
holy shit.
It was so fucking wild. And I was like, oh my God, I see exactly what I need to do to get out of my own damn way. But until I got up there, I couldn't see the little side roads where the energy's blocked.
So it's like you spiral kind of like in a wormhole, sounds like, or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and it feels like Kundalini energy. So it starts from the base and then it starts spiraling. Now I've done this by myself many times, but I've also astral projected within groups of spiritual people. And what was crazy is that we all started seeing and visualizing the same things when our energy came together in the astral. And then I've done it with just one other person before, and it's kind of, for me, it's this spiraling like DNA. I mean, that's what it feels like.
Really
It's just
interesting.
up and
But
out.
you're saying like a bunch of you together saw the same vision, you guys, and then you
We did
agreed
a
to it
past life
together.
healing. Yeah.
That's kind
Like
of
we
cool.
didn't even know that's what we were doing, and we all got on like a Zoom call. There was, I think, 8 of us on the Zoom call, and we all just start astral projecting, and next thing we know, the deity kind of energy started coming out of everybody. Like whatever DNA was locked in there, you know what I'm saying?
Man, that's heavy. We're getting heavy right here.
It's super fucking heavy. And I'm just like, is this really happening? All of us are like, are we in a spiritual psychosis? Like,
That's
how
crazy.
are we
I've had
seeing
an
what each
experience like
other
that
are?
before. But
It
see,
is.
I've had an astral experience like dead ass. This shit happened with another participant where every time we talk about it and I ask him, I'm like, bro, did that really happen? And were you there with me? And did that happen? He's like, yeah, bro. And I'm like, all right. But
Proving that magic is real. Because now
like,
you have other witnesses to it. And then it's undeniable at that point. You're like, okay, we can't all be
yeah.
crazy.
But there were other aspects to it that may have helped, like psychedelics. And so there was that
See, we
issue.
were
There
not
was
on
that.
psychedelics.
Right, right. I have to say that I was like the only time I really, so there's that. And not to say that that actually dismisses it, because there could be, something to that as well. Because we
But that's
both,
plant medicine as
yeah,
well.
exactly. And we both still feel when we were there, we were outside of like time and we were outside of like the place we were at. We were at this warehouse, a rave in Philly, actually. And it was nuts. But it happened. And then I didn't even tell nobody about it, but on the ride home, they were all like, "You guys astral traveled?" And I was like, "What? Yeah, I guess." But then
Yeah, and what the more you practice it, the easier it gets
man,
too.
I'd really I have a problem like with stillness. So
Oh,
sitting
you'd be great at it then.
yeah, sitting in a still meditation is definitely it's a challenge for me. It really is. That's like no lie. I like moving meditations, which is
I was about to say, do movement
yeah,
in them,
that's
and you can
Qigong.
have some. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do a
That
lot of
that works for
meditations
me.
with
It really
Qigong.
does.
I'll
Uh
be crouched down, sitting on the floor. I'm like, I'm feeling it. It's moving. We're going.
That's cool. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So, with the Reiki, so you can definitely feel it and move it, you think, and stuff. Like you have clients and stuff that you do your oh wait, so what is quantum healing, by the way?
So, quantum healing is basically the astral projection and healing, whether it's in a group or an individual setting. I call it soul retrievals. Now, it is not something that I offer on my website, as it's more of a divine thing. So, these people will find me when they are ready to go to their next level. And so, we bring all of their pieces for them to integrate to go to the next level, right? And so I've done this for about a year and a half now, and it's very intense. People get they hate me and then they love me,
Really?
because you got to think it's somebody who's coming in and they're opening and exposing light to every shadow aspect that they try to run from.
Oh
And
man, that's like
yeah,
guru
it's
shit.
I've been in it. Like I've been in it. And so the last one that I did, last soul retrieval, it was absolutely beautiful. But they started spiraling out almost immediately. So, you got to come back to center before you can start integrating all of the pieces.
Wow. So that's like past life and stuff. Do people remember their past life and stuff? Like,
At a certain level of consciousness, when they hit that Akashic record level, then you have access to everything. And then I feel like that's
yeah,
just
that's like
crazy when you
the
get to the
Akashic
Akashic
records.
records.
Yes. Um, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the halls of Amenti is where they are located. Have you heard that?
Yes,
Emerald tablets of Tall, what I'll be referring to when I said that. Uh,
yes,
have you ever listened to the Emerald Tablet or read it?
I've read it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's like
actually read it last year. It was
we were
beautiful.
just talking about how the angles are. Did you in that book they talk about the astral traveling and then how he has to move in, I believe it's like like you know what I'm talking about? That there's a certain I'll find it um some other time, but I'm not even gonna be able to look it up. But the way when they travel, it's stated in the um emerald tablets is it has to either be through angles or curves because when
Hmm.
he traveled all the way up, he went to the highest realm and there was these dogs or these hounds that chased him from that high realm all the way back trying to steal his soul, and the way he had to escape these hounds was move back in a certain like angle or a certain curve or circle or something to escape these hounds that were chasing him. Let's get back into a little bit more into your story too. Maybe just tell us a little bit about like when you do a session, like moving Reiki, if you use any type of like tools and because I've seen like a technique. This is corny as hell, but I saw, like when Mr. Miyagi. You ever see the Karate Kid? When Mr. Miyagi goes like that, and then he goes like,
Yeah,
yeah, is that key? That's like, or that's
that is. Well, you're
right.
activating your chi energy through your palms. Actually, try it right now. So activate.
Wait, rub them, rub my hands.
Yeah, rub them,
That's how you actually are supposed to rub your hands and stuff.
clap
Oh,
them. Yeah, or you can
oh
bounce them.
shit, that's funny.
And then you create sort of a resistance. And I always start off like, well, I started off doing energy balls. And so you just create whatever colors and you can actually feel it in your hand. So like if you go like this, you feel the weight of the ball, right? Move
Are
it this
those? Is
way,
that
you
a
feel the weight of
Saturn
the ball in your
symbol in
hand.
your hand there? The other one?
No, that's a chokuray and the Midas star symbol.
Oh, Midas star. That I thought that was a
Yeah,
Saturn star or Saturn. That
I'm I'm left-handed, and so when I was doing this, it was my non-dominant hand. It's a sad, but we got it on there. So you make your energy balls, right? You can put whatever colors, whatever kind of energy you want in them, and then you visualize a person. You send that energy ball to a person, and they will feel the energy ball if they're tapped into subtle energies.
okay. I've had somebody. I've learned the energy balls. What I've done with my breath. Uh,
Yeah,
kind of use tension a little bit, like,
yeah,
and then just kind of do it like that. And I was able to get a little bit and then have that heat drawing in there, which I could kind of feel it now too, a little bit. I bet you I'd be pretty good if I really like tried out and like really harnessed it, but I'd have to
I
work
know you
at it.
would be.
Yeah, I definitely have to work at it. But then again, it's just like it kind of feels like I don't know. Am I doing anything? You know, I really can feel something right now, and that's just no cap. Like I feel like it's so weird. I got this crazy piece of it's like a meteor, like I guess it's a metal from a meteorite. I don't know if you could see it, but this thing
Is
is
that
super
silver?
cool. And when I picked it up, when I bought it at somewhere, some festival or somewhere, I picked it up and I just felt that weird energy, like kind of like I was just kind of feeling like that. Just a weird like when my hand went like almost like static. You know when you kind of like go around stuff and there's you could kind of feel static.
Well,
That's the
yeah,
same thing, right? Static electricity. Isn't that like
yeah,
Qigong, like electromagnetic energy or something?
yeah. It's literally all the same thing. And that's the thing about that I've noticed about spirituality too, is a lot of like the deities, especially if you really look at like the Hindu and like the Christian archetype, a lot of them are the same.
Oh,
You have
don't
one
even
of
get
the
me
god of
started.
war. I mean, so it's the same thing, I think, and it's just the energies that are broken down into different particles. And I think that when you come to deity work, because we're going to talk about that too,
Yeah, knowledge is infinite. Uh, but
absolutely.
you know, our memory is kind of limited though, sometimes, right? We could like either
I thought
replace it,
so until we activate our 12
right?
strand DNA.
Wait, say that again. What is it? Oh, the 12
Activating the
strand.
12 strand
Yeah,
DNA.
yeah. Right. And that what's that? You think that's like tapping into like the Akashic or something like that?
I think it's that, but it's also being able to hold all of the downloads. So you got to think when you tap into the Akashic records, you have access to your entire soul's history, right? And then if you further realize that we're all interconnected, so like you and I are connected, me and my neighbor are connected, everybody's interconnected. You
Yeah.
literally have access to any
Oh
spiritual
shit, you're right.
archetype.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like how
So,
everybody could share memories and stuff, I guess.
right. And when you activate that 12 strand DNA, you have more broadband, broad width to hold in the
Mm,
information.
yeah, yeah.
But to get to that point, you have to clear out everything that stands between you
Mm,
and your higher self. And
yeah.
that's the part that fucks everybody up, excuse my language.
Um, yeah, that shadow work's tough too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's daunting and never ending.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's not because it never ends. I was thinking because
Yeah.
it's like every day there's new stuff. So you're always going to have to learn how to process the negative that comes every day because and then so it's always going to be shadow work continuous, you know?
Well,
And
I think if you get to the core wound, right? Like
mm,
the core essence that usually happens in the developmental years that usually coincides with the past life traumas and stuff.
hmm. So you think that
So
also
once you
there's
get
like
the core, then you get kind of scar tissue, right? And so that's kind of what I'm experiencing now is that scar tissue phase where it's like, yes, I may experience things that remind me of those past wounds, but what used to burn and like hurt and just put me down for days, weeks, months, now it just kind of like it's a little when it moves through the energy process. It's a little uncomfortable, but it doesn't hurt like it used to. So I think you're right. It's like it doesn't ever end, but it's not nearly as painful as the first few times you run through that energy.
well, unless maybe you go like backwards again and then you like bring in so much more trauma and you don't continue on a straightforward healing path or something. But like deity work, real quick, can you go a little bit over that? And
Absolutely.
how do you,
So
yeah, where start? Help me out here.
I feel like there's several ways that you can work with deities. For me, there's always been one deity that since I was a little kid, like has just called me, just it's there. Didn't know what it was for the longest time. Got spiritually woken up, started doing research, and I'm like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, right? This is what I need to overcome. So I use that kind of as my blueprint. But as I went on in my spiritual journey, there were certain aspects that I felt like I didn't personally possess or qualities, right? And I was like, maybe I should work with so and so, right? And of course, I think before you work with deities, you should research, you should definitely ask the deity in whatever form that you want to ask, um, and always have some sort of an offering because they don't
Mm.
have to work with you. That energy doesn't have to come to you. It can absolutely say, no, this is not for me. I don't want to do that.
No way. Yeah, makes sense.
And so a
Gotta have
lot of
that right
people will
offering.
call on a deity and it's for like these selfish and you can work with a deity for whatever reason. It really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? As long as you set your intention, you give your offering, you show gratitude, it is what it is. But I think a lot of people do it from a space of a lower vibration as opposed to like a space of a higher vibration, if that makes sense.
Always.
Like
Nobody's going to
upper
do
and
the
lower
higher.
worlds.
No one's going to do the work. They don't want to do the work to get to the high vibe. They want to just get the
Mhm.
immediate, and that's always on the low vibe stuff or something. Do you have a specific deity that you like?
I've, I've worked with a few.
Yeah,
Yeah. Horus is my main one. So that's like the one that has called me since I was a child.
or is the
Um,
son of Osiris?
yes.
Okay.
So that's kind of my main one. But then throughout my journey, like I've worked with Gabriel as far as like with healing because Gabriel was the archetype of the archangel of healing. And so kind of learning those metaphysical properties.
What I'm gonna do is we're gonna have to talk again more about deity work. Or anything?
Yeah, everything is under Loosh Alchemy. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
Lucia.
so yeah, all of my social media.
Awesome. I really appreciate you
Thank
coming on.
you. This was
Yeah.
fun.